I always believed cruelty had a certain look to it, sharp eyes, harsh voices, storm, cloud tempers. I thought it arrived with thunder, in slamming doors or explosive arguments. But that morning, cruelty arrived quietly, wrapped in the familiar scent of cinnamon rolls and fresh coffee, sitting casually at my daughter's wooden kitchen table. It started as an ordinary Saturday. I had woken early, as I always did, and baked cinnamon rolls for Mia and Damon. It was a tradition I kept alive even after Mia moved out, a token of love from a mother who never stopped trying. I carried the warm tray to their house, a short walk down the block, still unaware that within an hour the world I had built around my daughter would crack open like thin ice. When Mia opened the door, she barely glanced at the tray. I noticed her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, but I told myself she was just tired. I told myself that a mother should never assume the worst. I wish, now, I had prepared myself. Damon was already seated, sprawled across a chair he always acted like he owned, even though I remembered signing the down payment check for their house when they were too young and too broke. "Morning," he said, lifting his coffee mug in a lazy salute. "Good morning," I replied, setting the tray down. "I made your favorite, thanks," he said with the tone of someone who'd just been handed a napkin, not a childhood memory wrapped in warm dough. I turned to Mia and smiled. She would soften things, I thought. She always had my smile, my eyes, my gentle nature. At least, I thought she did. She sat across from me, straight, backed, fidgeting with her phone. "Mom, we actually wanted to talk to you," she said. That sentence alone should have warned me. No child begins with asterisk, "We wanted to talk to you," asterisk, unless something is about to break. I tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind?" She inhaled deeply, and for a moment her face softened, as if she was battling her own conscience. But the softness vanished, replaced by cold determination. "Mom, you're not coming with us to Hawaii." I blinked. My brain, bless its hopeful foolishness, tried to interpret her words in 100 different ways, any way except the one she meant. "You mean not coming on the asterisk same flight asterisk?" I asked with a small chuckle, "or not staying in the same hotel? I don't need to. I can find my own." "No, Mom," she interrupted. "You're not coming at all." My chuckle died halfway through my throat. "Not coming at all," I repeated slowly. She didn't even flinch. Yes, I felt the chair beneath me grow unstable, though I knew it wasn't the chair. It was me, cracking a little. "But Mia, you invited me months ago. I whispered, you showed me the brochure. You said it would be our family trip. That was before," she said with a shrug. "Plans changed. Plans," I breathed, "or feelings." Her eyes flickered briefly, revealing a crack in her armor. "Mom, it's nothing personal. It's our anniversary trip. We want it to be romantic." And I would have been in the way. I asked, my voice thin as glass. She didn't answer. Damon, unfortunately, did look. He said, leaning forward as if he were explaining basic math to a slow student, "You're too poor to pay for the ticket anyway. It's better this way. You'd be uncomfortable. Long flights and stuff." Too poor, the words were soft, but they landed like stones tied to my ribs. I stared at him. He had the audacity to hold my gaze without even a flicker of shame. His expression was plain, practical, indifferent. It was the same expression a banker might give a client while rejecting a loan application. "I never asked you to pay for me," I said quietly. "No," he replied, "but we know you can't." He took a bite of his cinnamon roll, as if the conversation were as casual as the weather. "My daughter said nothing to defend me. She didn't even look at me, Mom. She said finally, 'Please don't make this harder. Hawaii is expensive. You wouldn't enjoy it. We're going to fancy restaurants and doing excursions, and we want to relax. You'd be stressed about money, and I don't want you feeling embarrassed." Embarrassed. The word pierced me deeper than Damon's comment. "So I embarrass you now?" I asked. She winced just slightly, but I saw it. "No, Mom, that's not what I meant. You're twisting things." But I wasn't twisting anything. She was twisting me, into something small, something fragile, something burdensome, Mia. I whispered, I raised you alone. Every vacation you took before college I paid for. Every school trip, every new pair of shoes, every birthday surprise. You never had to worry about money. I made sure of that. I know, she said tersely. But that doesn't mean you can come on our honeymoon trip. Honeymoon? I repeated. You've been married 4 years. So, we're celebrating, she said, folding her arms defensively. That's not what this is about. I said, this is about you not wanting me there. She hesitated, and that hesitation told me the truth. I felt something inside me tilt, like a framed photograph slipping off the nail. Mom, she said gently, you need to understand that we're adults now. We're building our own life. You can't be a part of everything. I swallowed. But I thought this was something we were doing asterisk together. Asterisk like old times. That's the point, Damon muttered. It's not old times. We're not kids anymore. Mia's eyes snapped at him, as if silently warning him to stop, but not for my sake. For hers, I looked between them, my daughter, my son-in-law, and wondered how I had failed to see this side of them. When did I become an inconvenience? When did love become transactional? When did the sacrifices I made become invisible? I rose from the table slowly. My hands trembled, so I clasped them together behind my back. I refused to let them see me shake. I understand, I said softly, though every syllable felt like a lie. I hope you both enjoy your trip. Mom, Mia reached for my arm. I stepped back. She froze. I won't ruin your plans, I said with a small, sad smile. I never intended to. Damon let out a relieved breath, as if the difficult part was finally over for him. But for me, the difficult part was only beginning. I walked toward the door with my head held high, though my chest felt hollow. Each step echoed in my ears like footsteps in a cathedral, a place filled with something sacred being lost. When I opened the door, sunlight flooded in, warm and unforgiving. Mia, I said without turning around, do you really think I would have embarrassed you? There was a long pause. Too long. I just think it would have been complicated, she said finally. I nodded. Complicated. I understood then. I wasn't too poor. I wasn't too old. I wasn't too fragile. I was too much effort. Too much of a reminder of where she came from. Too much of a reality check in front of her husband's curated lifestyle. Too much of a burden to take into their picture. Perfect vacation. I love you, I said quietly. That hasn't changed. Then I closed the door behind me and stepped out into a world that suddenly felt 10 degrees colder. As I walked home, cinnamon rolls cooling untouched in their kitchen, the wind stung my cheeks and blurred my vision until I realized, no, the wind wasn't the cause. I cried all the way home. I cried for the little girl who used to run into my arms, for the mother who had given every piece of herself, for the woman I had become so easy to dismiss. I cried because I didn't recognize my own daughter anymore. And, worst of all, I cried because I was starting to realize she didn't recognize me either. The Monday after the confrontation at Mia's house felt strangely quiet. Too quiet, almost as if the world itself had paused to watch what I would do next. I moved through my morning like a ghost, making tea I couldn't drink, straightening blankets that didn't need adjusting, pausing in front of windows without seeing anything beyond them. But grief has a way of sharpening the senses after the first shock, and as hours passed, something inside me hardened not into anger exactly, but into resolve. I couldn't go on feeling like nothing more than a discarded chapter in my own daughter's story. My phone rang around noon. A number I didn't recognize. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but some instinct gentle, persistent pushed me to answer. Hello! A deep voice responded, formal and calm. MS, Eleanor Kingsley. Yes. This is attorney Michael Harrington. We spoke briefly a few months ago regarding your brother Henry's estate. My breath caught. Oh, yes, I remember. I'd like to schedule a meeting with you, he continued. There are final documents that need your review and signatures. Are you free this afternoon? I hesitated. Part of me wasn't ready to face the world, but another part, the part still trembling from Mia's rejection, knew I needed something, anything, to pull me out of the grief loop. "Yes," I said, "I'm free. Excellent. My office will be expecting you at 3. When the call ended, I stood still for a long moment. Henry, my older brother, the last living link to the family I grew up with. He had died quietly, unexpectedly, leaving me with more questions than memories. I'd assumed his estate would be simple, some personal belongings, perhaps a small savings account. He had kept to himself for years, traveling, living modestly in photos he occasionally mailed. But the lawyer's tone, there was something in it I couldn't decipher, something that made me feel oddly uneasy. At 2:45, I stepped into the polished marble lobby of Harrington and Associates. The air smelled faintly of leather and pine, and the soft clicking of heels echoed down the hallway like distant metronomes marking time. The receptionist greeted me warmly. "M.S. Kingsley, Mr. Harrington is ready for you." She led me to an office lined with dark mahogany shelves and framed maps of vintage Europe. Sunlight spilled through floor-to-ceiling windows, catching dust motes that danced like tiny lanterns. Michael Harrington, a tall man with silver hair and kind eyes, stood from behind his desk. "M.S. Kingsley," he said, shaking my hand gently, "thank you for coming." "Of course," I murmured. "Please have a seat." I sat across from him, hands folded in my lap, posture stiff. He cleared his throat softly. "I know these matters can feel overwhelming, especially when they remind us of loss. Before we begin, is there anything you'd like to share? Questions, concerns?" I took a breath. Did he leave any letters for me?" The lawyer's eyes softened. "Yes. One, we'll get to that." My heart fluttered painfully. I hadn't known how much I needed that. He pulled a thick folder toward him. "Let's start with the estate overview. I want to walk you through everything clearly." I nodded. He opened the folder and began speaking, but his first sentence made my breath stop entirely. "Your brother's estate totals approximately $83 million. For a moment the world went silent. I stared at him, blinked, waited for him to correct himself. 80 what?" I whispered. 83 million. He repeated gently, sliding a printed document across the desk. The paper listed assets numbers so large they barely felt real. A villa in Tuscany, a luxury townhouse in London, 2 penthouse apartments in New York and Singapore, multiple investment accounts, a private foundation, a company stake I'd never heard of, and beneath it all, ***, private jet model, GVSB Gulfstream G550. ***, my heartbeat thudded in my ears. "This," I managed, "this can't be right. My brother lived simply. He backpacked, he traveled, he sent postcards from hostels." Michael nodded. "Yes, he lived simply, but he invested wisely, very wisely. He founded several startups decades ago. Some long forgotten, some exceptionally successful. He kept a low profile." "But why didn't he ever tell me?" I whispered. Michael folded his hands. "He left you a letter. Perhaps his answer lies within." He reached into a drawer and retrieved a white envelope sealed with wax. My breath trembled as I accepted it. The handwriting was unmistakable Henry's looping script, the same he used when writing to Santa for me when I was 6 because I didn't know how to spell unicorn. I didn't open it yet. I couldn't. The weight of it felt too sacred. "We'll review everything in detail," Michael said gently. "But what's important for you to know is this. He designated you as the sole beneficiary." "Sole?" I whispered. "What about charities, old friends, anyone else?" "You," he said simply, "only you." My throat tightened. "And the jet?" I asked, barely able to say the word. "It's yours," he said, "along with a contracted crew, and a personal concierge service if you choose to activate it." My hands trembled around the envelope. A jet, a fortune, homes around the world. I had gone from worrying about affording new tires to inheriting more wealth than I knew how to comprehend. And my daughter had called me asterisk too poor. Asterisk Michael sensed the shift in my expression, because he leaned forward slightly. MS Kingsley, wealth, especially sudden wealth, can bring complicated emotions. Take your time. You don't have to decide anything immediately. But decisions were already forming in the quiet corners of my mind. For years I had lived small, thinking modesty was synonymous with dignity. I'd clipped coupons, patched holes in sweaters, skipped vacations, worked overtime, always saving, always sacrificing. And for what? To be told I wasn't worth the price of a plane ticket. Can I? I swallowed. Can I see the jet? Michael smiled warmly. Absolutely. I can arrange a viewing today, if you'd like. Today. The word felt unreal, of course. It's stored at a private hangar 20 minutes from here. My heart pounded. Then, yes, I'd like that. Hash, 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 asterisk, asterisk, the hangar, asterisk, asterisk. The hangar was enormous, its echoing space cool and quiet. The smell of engine fuel and sterile steel filled the air, and there she was, my jet, a sleek white Gulfstream, polished so thoroughly it reflected the overhead lights like a mirror. It looked like something from a movie, something reserved for celebrities or CEO, not a school secretary who spent her life clipping coupons. Two crew members approached with warm smiles. MS Kingsley. One asked. I startled a little. No one had ever addressed me with such formality. Yes, I replied softly. We're honored to have you. Please come aboard. The stairs lowered smoothly, and I climbed them as if stepping into another universe. Inside, the jet was everything I never knew I wanted: creamy leather seats, wood, paneled walls, soft lighting, a spacious lounge area, even a bedroom in the back. I ran my fingers along the seat cushions, my reflection trembling in the polished surfaces. This is impossible, I whispered. The pilot chuckled kindly. Not impossible, ma'am. It's yours. I sat down slowly, letting the truth settle. Mine, all of it. But even as awe filled my chest, another emotion lingered beneath it. Something fragile and bruised. This was the life my daughter assumed I was too poor to afford. A life she never imagined I could touch. A life she never even bothered to ask about. The hurt flared again, but not as chaotically as before. It was calmer now, colder, more resolved. I thought of Mia's words, asterisk, you're not coming to Hawaii. Asterisk, asterisk, you're too poor. Asterisk, asterisk, you'd be embarrassed. Asterisk, and suddenly, the decision I didn't know I was making became clear. I would go to Hawaii, but not the way she expected, not quietly, not apologetically, not begging. I would go on my own terms, my own jet, my own itinerary, my own dignity. Maybe for once in my life, it was time to live not for others, but for myself. Hash, 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 asterisk, asterisk, the letter asterisk, asterisk. That evening, after returning home with a mind swirling in disbelief, I finally opened Henry's letter. The paper smelled faintly of cedar, as if he had sealed memories inside it. Asterisk, my dear Eleanor, asterisk, asterisk. If you're reading this, it means one thing. I'm no longer around to tease you about stealing my cereal when we were kids. I hope the world has been kind to you, but knowing you, I also know you spent more of your life giving than receiving. Asterisk, asterisk, you always were the strong one. The soft one, the one who believed love was enough to keep others warm, even if it left you cold. Asterisk, I wiped a tear. Asterisk, I lived life on my own terms. You lived yours on everyone else's. Now, dear sister, it's time you finally lived for yourself. Asterisk, asterisk, the fortune I built wasn't meant for boardrooms or strangers. It was meant for you, to give you choices, freedom, peace. I watched you sacrifice your dreams to raise Mia. I watched you struggle silently. I wish I had done more for you while I lived, but I hope this gift gives you the life you deserve. Asterisk, asterisk, travel. Rest, laugh, fall in love again, maybe, or don't. Just live. Asterisk, asterisk, and know this. You were the best part of my life. Asterisk, love, asterisk, Henry, asterisk. I pressed the letter to my chest, sobbing softly. He had seen me. He had understood me, even when my own daughter hadn't. For the first time in a long time, I felt held. By memory, by family, by love that stretched across time. Hash 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 asterisk asterisk decision asterisk asterisk. The next morning I sat at my kitchen table. This time alone, no cinnamon rolls. No forced smiles, no cruel words, just me, and a blank piece of paper. On it I wrote a single sentence. Asterisk asterisk, I am going to Hawaii. Asterisk asterisk, not to chase acceptance. Not to beg for a place at someone else's table. Not to shrink myself, but to reclaim something I hadn't realized I'd lost, my worth. And if fate wanted to write irony into the sky by letting Mia and Damon see me boarding a private jet, well, let it write. I wasn't seeking revenge, but maybe revenge would find me anyway. I always thought airports were liminal spaces, places caught between departure and arrival, ends and beginnings. But that morning, as I stepped out of the chauffeured black sedan and into the sunlight reflecting off the private terminal's glass facade, I realized they could also be places of rebirth. The breeze was soft, carrying the faint scent of jet fuel mixed with something new, courage. For years I had lived quietly, tucked into corners, careful not to take up too much space. But as I walked across the smooth pavement toward the private hangar, something in me shifted. The world didn't seem so heavy anymore. My steps felt lighter, my shoulders looser. My heart, though still bruised, beat with purpose rather than pain. The Gulf Stream sat waiting for me, gleaming under the morning sun like a pearl set into steel sky. A steward stepped forward as soon as he saw me. "Good morning, MS Kingsley," he said warmly. "Your luggage has already been loaded. Whenever you're ready, we'll begin pre-flight." A thrill fluttered through me. "Thank you," I said, letting my fingers glide over the small boarding handle. I took a step toward the stairs, and then I heard it. A loud, irritated voice carried across the tarmac from the commercial terminal's walkway. "Mia, I told you we should have left earlier. They changed the gate." "I didn't know they were going to switch it, Damon. Stop yelling at me. Well, if we miss the flight, it's on you." Their voices grew sharper as they approached. At first, I didn't turn. Even the mere sound of them twisted something inside me, somewhere deep and still tender. But fate has a wicked sense of timing. I lifted my head, just in time to see them emerge through the crowd, dragging their suitcases behind them. The sharp Hawaiian prints on their luggage tags mocked the very conversation they had forced on me only days earlier. They both stopped abruptly when they saw me. Mia's eyes widened, her jaw slackening in a way that made her look like a child again, fearful, confused, caught doing something wrong. Damon's mouth opened and closed twice before he found his voice. "Mom." The word drifted across the tarmac like a question he didn't quite know how to ask. I stood tall, my back straight, my hands resting softly on the railing of the jet's stairs. They rushed toward me, luggage bumping awkwardly behind them. "Mom," Mia repeated, out of breath. What are you doing here?" I tilted my head, letting the sunlight hit my cheek. "I'm going to Hawaii." Her lips parted, but no sound emerged. "We thought," she paused, "we thought you weren't traveling anymore." "I never said that," I replied, my voice calm. "You said I wasn't coming with asterisk you?" Asterisk. A flush crept up her neck. "Well, yes, but I didn't think you'd still go. Why not?" I asked. "Hawaii is beautiful this time of year." Damon's eyes drifted to the jet behind me. "Wait," he said slowly. "Are you boarding that?" I turned slightly, glancing up at the jet, as if it were nothing more than a modest taxi. "This?" I asked. "Yes, I prefer to fly comfortably now." He blinked. "Comfortably. As in privately," I said. The steward approached just then. "MS Kingsley," he said, "the cabin is cooled and prepared for departure. We'll take off whenever you're ready." "Thank you," I replied. Mia stared at him, then me, then the jet again, confusion etching deeper into her features. "Mom," she whispered, "since when? How? Where did you?" I smiled gently. "I had some changes in my life recently, but a private jet," she pressed. "You can't afford, I mean, how Are you sure you want to ask me about money, Mia? I said softly, raising an eyebrow. Her mouth snapped shut. Damon stepped forward, lowering his voice in a desperate attempt to sound reasonable. Look, our flight was delayed. It's a mess. The airline said it might be 8 hours. 8 hours. Oh, I said sympathetically. That sounds unpleasant. It is, he said quickly. So, we wanted to ask if there's room on your jet. Ah. There it was, the pivot, the shift, the realization that the person they dismissed as poor, irrelevant was suddenly someone with something they wanted. A calmer version of my heartache rose in me, no longer sharp like it had been days earlier, but bittersweet, almost dignified. For once I wasn't the one asking, I wasn't the one hoping, I wasn't the one begging for space in their plans. I held the power, and they knew it. Before I could answer, the steward quietly asked, "Ms. Kingsley, should we prepare for additional passengers?" I turned to him, offering a warm smile, then turned back to Mia and Damon. "I'm afraid not," I said gently. Mia stepped forward, panicked. "Mom, please. Our flight is packed. We're in middle seats. You know how awful those are for Damon." "For Damon," I echoed lightly. "What about you?" She hesitated. "Well, for both of us." I crossed my hands in front of me, leaning slightly on the railing. "You know," I began softly, "a few days ago I thought I would have given anything to be with you both, to spend time with you, to feel included in your life." Her eyes glistened. "But then I realized something." I continued, "You didn't want me there, not because of romance or privacy, but because you were ashamed of me." Mia's face crumpled. "No, Mom, that's not your words, Mia." I said quietly, "You'd be embarrassed." She covered her mouth, tears threatening. "And Damon," I said, looking him dead in the eye, "you said I was too poor." He sucked in a breath, suddenly smaller. "I'm not angry," I said truthfully, "not anymore, but I learned something valuable." I paused. "Some people only want you around when you are useful to them, when you give, when you sacrifice, when you shrink." The wind stirred, brushing strands of hair across my cheek. "You both taught me that." Mia's voice cracked. "Mama, please, we're sorry." I stepped toward them slowly, my expression soft but unyielding. "I forgive you," I said. "But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting." She sobbed. "We didn't mean it. We weren't thinking." "No," I said gently. "You meant it, and that's what opened my eyes." I lifted my chin. "You're not coming with me." They froze. "But why?" Damon asked, his voice rising in disbelief. "It's not like we wanted to kick you out of the trip. You didn't want me there," I said firmly. "And that's perfectly fine. But you don't get to want me now simply because I have something you need." Silence fell over the tarmac. Finally, Mia whispered, "Please, Mom, just this once." I looked at her not with anger, but with a quiet strength I didn't know I possessed. "Oh, sweetheart," I said softly, touching her cheek the way I used to when she was little. Then I stepped back and added, with the same gentleness she had denied me, **, you're too poor." **, the words hung in the air between us, soft, almost loving, but each syllable wrapped in truth. Her face crumpled. Damon's expression fell apart completely. Before either of them could reply, the steward placed a hand on the door. "Ms. Kingsley, if you're ready." I nodded, turning toward the stairs. "I hope," I said softly over my shoulder, "that you both learned something from this, not about money, but about kindness." And then I boarded. The jet door began closing behind me, sealing their stunned faces on the other side of the glass. The engines hummed a smooth, powerful sound that vibrated through my bones. As the plane taxied toward the runway, I looked out the window and saw them standing there, small, helpless, and silent. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small at all. I felt free. The moment the wheels of the jet touched Hawaiian soil, a warmth spread through me, deeper than the tropical air, quieter than the rustle of palm leaves. A warmth that felt like relief, release, renewal, like my bruised heart was finally unclenching. As I stepped onto the runway, the sun wrapped around my skin like a soft shawl. I inhaled deeply, letting the humid fragrance of plumeria and ocean salt wash through me. The air tasted sweet. "Heavy, alive, welcome to Maui, MS Kingsley," the steward said with a warm smile, for the first time in weeks, maybe months. I smiled back without forcing it. A driver held a sign with my name on it near the private terminal's entrance. He greeted me with a fresh orchid lei and a bow of the head. "Your villa is ready," he said gently. "I'll take you there whenever you're comfortable." I nodded and followed him toward the black SUV. As we drove, I watched the scenery unfold like a painting. Lush rainforests, azure waves crashing against cliffs, flowers blooming in impossible colors. The world felt big again, beautiful again, and I felt finally small in a good way, not insignificant. Not unwanted, just part of something vast and wonderful. Asterisk asterisk, the villa asterisk asterisk. The villa was perched on a hillside, overlooking an ocean so blue it looked unreal. Waves curled against the sand with a rhythmic whisper. The villa itself was all bamboo, stone, and glass, a seamless blend of modern elegance and island soul. "Please make yourself at home," the concierge said as he showed me inside. "Feel free to call us for anything at all." When he left, silence settled around me, not heavy but peaceful. I walked to the floor, to ceiling windows, and slid them open. Warm wind spilled in, carrying birdsong and the far-off laughter of children playing on the beach below. For the first time in a very long time, I didn't feel lonely. I felt held. I set down my luggage, kicked off my shoes, and walked barefoot onto the lanai. The wooden boards were warm from the sun. I leaned against the railing, letting the sight of the endless ocean still my heart. A thought floated through me: they didn't want you there, but look where you are now, not as revenge. Not as validation, but as truth. I closed my eyes and let the ocean breeze lift away whatever pieces of pain were still clinging to me. Asterisk asterisk. The days that followed asterisk asterisk. The days rolled gently into one another. Slow, serene, vivid. On the first morning, I woke before sunrise. The sky blossomed into pinks and oranges, painting the water in shimmering streaks. I made myself a cup of Kona coffee, sat cross-legged on the balcony, and just watched the world wake with me. No obligations, no expectations, just being alive. On the second day, a soft knock came at my door. "MS Kingsley," a young woman asked. "I'm Leilani. I'll be your massage therapist today." I blinked. "Today? Yes, ma'am. It's included in your wellness package." Wellness package. I hadn't known I had one. But as I lay on the massage table, with fragrant oils and gentle hands easing years of tension from my back, I realized something startling. This is the first time someone has taken care of me in decades. A sting prickled behind my eyes, not sadness, but realization. I had spent my entire life caring for others and calling it love. But no one had ever cared for me like this. I let the tears fall quietly as Leilani worked. They weren't painful tears. They were release. On the third day, I walked along the beach during sunset. The tide whispered around my ankles as flocks of birds swooped low across the water. I collected seashells the way I used to when Mia was little, when she would squeal with delight at every piece I found and tuck them into her pockets like treasures. I held a pale pink shell up to the fading light and wondered when that little girl had slipped away from me. When had she become someone who saw me not as a mother, but an inconvenience? And yet, even as the ache resurfaced, I realized the sting wasn't as sharp as before. Paradise had a way of softening even the deepest wounds. Asterisk asterisk. A surprise text asterisk on the fourth day. My phone buzzed. Mia, my heart twisted, unprepared. Her message was 4 simple words. Asterisk, where are you staying? Asterisk. I stared at the message for a long time, feeling the conflict rise like a tide inside me. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me wanted to respond immediately with every detail. Something in the HIGHL, why flexible weak. I didn't expose ing, owes anyone anything not dollarg and GUILT, not COMPLETEL, why PROTECT, against explanations, not access. I typed slowly. Asterisk asterisk, enjoy your trip, Mia. I'm doing the same. Asterisk asterisk, her reply came quickly. Asterisk asterisk, Mom, please. Our hotel is horrible. Damon got sick. The room smells weird and they lost our luggage. Please let us stay with you. Asterisk asterisk, I took a deep breath. A month ago, I would have jumped to help. I would have given up my villa, my comfort, my peace, just to make sure Mia was okay. I would have rushed to be the mother she needed, even if she didn't want me most days. But standing by the ocean, with my toes in the sand and my heart finally healing, I felt clarity wash over me. I texted back, asterisk asterisk, I can't do that. I hope things get better for you both. Asterisk asterisk, no anger, no bitterness. Just boundaries. I put my phone down and walked toward the water, letting the waves swallow the last lingering guilt. Asterisk asterisk, healing asterisk asterisk over the next few days. Something extraordinary happened. I started laughing again, not polite little laughs, but real, belly-deep laughter. At first it startled me, then it freed me. I made friends with two women staying at the resort, a widowed teacher named Karina and a retired chef named Odelia. We drank cocktails under thatched umbrellas and swapped life stories with the ease of women who had weathered storms and learned how to dance in the rain. People change, Odelia said one night as we watched fire dancers twirl flames under the stars. And sometimes the hardest part isn't losing them. It's realizing you never truly had them. Her words sank into me like truth carved in stone. I didn't lose Mia. Mia had already drifted, long before Hawaii. Long before the private jet. Long before the cruel words. The grief I carried wasn't just from the present moment. It was from years of unnoticed distance, of one-sided effort, of pretending things were fine when they weren't. But in that recognition came something surprising, peace. I wasn't responsible for her choices, for her disrespect. For her blindness, I wasn't responsible for fixing what she had chosen to break. I was only responsible for myself. And for the first time, that felt like enough. Asterisk asterisk, a letter to myself asterisk asterisk, on the final night of my trip. I sat on the balcony with a pen and my journal. The moon hung low over the water, shimmering a path across the waves as if inviting me to follow. I wrote a letter, not to Mia, not to Henry, not to Damon, but to myself. Asterisk, dear Elinor, asterisk asterisk, you have spent a lifetime giving. Now it's time to receive. Asterisk asterisk, you have spent a lifetime shrinking. Now it's time to take up space. Asterisk asterisk, you have spent a lifetime hoping others would see your worth. Now you see it yourself. Asterisk asterisk, this is your beginning. Asterisk asterisk, not your aftermath. Asterisk asterisk, not your revenge. Asterisk asterisk, your rebirth. Asterisk, I closed the journal, feeling something deep inside me settle, like sand after a storm. The ocean whispered its approval. Asterisk asterisk, the last morning asterisk asterisk, on my final morning in Hawaii, I woke before dawn and walked to the shoreline. The sky was still dark, but a thin line of gold glowed at the horizon. I stood barefoot in the sand, listening to the steady rush of waves. I closed my eyes and let the universe press its warmth into me. I wasn't the same woman who arrived here. I wasn't the mother begging for a seat on someone else's vacation. I wasn't the quiet shadow of myself. I was someone new, someone whole, someone enough. As the sun broke through the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of fire and rose, I whispered, I forgive you, Mia. I forgive you, Damon, and I forgive myself. Then, with a peaceful heart, I turned and walked back toward the villa, ready for the life waiting for me on the other side of this journey. A life where I no longer needed permission. A life where I didn't need to beg for love. a life where I was finally living for myself. Paradise hadn't healed me. I had healed me, and that was the sweetest ending of all.